Hi, this is Laura from LiveVisions.com, and I wanted to give you some information on Robin Williams, his chart. I found his chart very interesting, and I also found the day of his death very interesting as well, as far as what was going on with him. Anyway, I wanted to, one of my favorite all-time movies is What Dreams May Come, but with Robin Williams and Cuba Gooding Jr. in it. You have to check it out if you haven't seen it. I'll add some clips in this video as well on the bottom of this. I'll link this page to my website. But I'm looking at his chart, and I'm seeing he's got a lot of water. He has a Scorpio ascendant, which makes him very deep, very intense, very passionate. Usually, a lot of times with people with a Scorpio ascendant, they can see right through people. Very highly, highly intuitive, okay? And the ruler, he's a 0-degree Scorpio ascendant. The ruler to his ascendant is in the 10th house, which is Pluto conjunct Mercury in Leo. That would make him, perhaps talk on a very deep level, and what he says he wants the world to know, because it's in Leo, so he wants to be noticed for things that he's saying. And Leo, at the pinnacle of the career here, is a lot of actors have a lot of placements in Leo, and let's face it, his sun is 28 degrees Cancer. Again, another water sign. This would be at a soul level. He would be pretty sensitive, nurturing type of person. He may like travel. He may be highly intelligent, as he is Uranus conjunct Mars here. Maybe he loves learning, likes traveling. But I'm going to go into some more things that I see here too. He's also got a Pisces moon. So he's got a Scorpio ascendant, a Pisces moon, and a Cancer sun. He's a lot of water. And the moon is how we are when we're emotional, when we're upset. And the moon is conjuncting his 5th house of creativity, in which is where he has his North Node. And if you don't know, when someone has their North Node in the 5th house, a lot of times they could become famous, a lot of times, or known for something. Well, his moon is conjunct this, so this shows, 5th house cusp Pisces, which shows somebody who's very, very creative, and somebody whose moon is in Pisces is also very creative too. They could be a very creative writer, but at an emotional level, this is someone who could be very sensitive to the feelings of other people. He could be very compassionate, but he can also be very, I want to say, these type of people can pick up atmosphere like a sponge. And, he could probably get upset very easily with the way things, in a negative environment, let's put it that way, or something very negative is going on. It may make him very upset. And people with a moon in Pisces need to be cautious as to how they deal with negative emotions or a negative environment or whatever it is, because they are more sensitive than others. They are highly creative, too. But the best thing to do is go with the higher octave of Pisces, which would be spirituality, creativity, any of those things. A lot of these people are creative geniuses. But he could go a low octave too and say, I want to tune out of life, and I want to go to drugs and alcohol and so forth. Wherever you have Pisces ruling whatever house in your chart, that house is going to be a point of confusion for you. And it's a house in which they say a lot of times you serve or suffer, okay? And the same thing goes for Neptune. Look where you have Neptune, okay? It could be a point of confusion or where you serve or suffer. And look at his chart. He's got Neptune here in the 12th house. And let me point to it. Neptune in the 12th house right here. So what does that mean? Neptune in the 12th house is spirituality. It's things that you do behind the scenes, And I would say he was very compassionate. He did give to others. He was a very generous person. But also he did, go to drugs and alcohol sometimes when, tuning out of life, when things got hard for him. And then I want to say, too, what else was I noticing? Okay, let's take a look at his Mars energy. he has Mars in Cancer, which would indicate maybe a shy person, somebody who does go for what they want, but they could be very, like, kind of shy, and maybe all about the home and family, okay? But it's in the 9th house, so that means that when he's traveling, wherever he goes, he makes home, okay? But this is conjunct Uranus, so this can mean that he has a very unique idea, or a very different idea, or non-conventional idea about what home and family should be like. Also, this could also mean that he could be very eccentric in his energy, doing things out of the blue, doing things, you know, like, how do I say this? Just all of a sudden thinking something and just doing it quickly. And if you notice, you know, Uranus in the 9th house can indicate a very bright individual, extremely intelligent. And, you know, and I find that he was very witty. He was very smart in his, you know, career, extremely witty. When he always had comebacks really quickly, you know, and he does have Mercury conjunct Pluto in Leo in that 10th house. So he's known for his wit, you know, his, you know, things he says. But let's look at that further, okay? And let's say that he also has Venus in that 10th house in Virgo, which indicates, you know, he's creative in his career, okay? And he's creative with the things he says, yes. But he can also be very critical of himself through his creativity. You know, I bet you his hardest critic was himself. Not only does he have this, but he has Saturn. Saturn in Virgo as well can be someone who could be very critical. And this is in the house of groups, friends, and organizations. So maybe when he was working with others, you know, maybe he was critical of them, but I doubt it. I feel like he could have been more critical about himself, okay? And this could be very difficult. Neptune in the 12th house could be somebody who kind of goes to drugs and alcohol, and they're, you know, behind the scenes kind of a thing. And it could be also somebody who's quite compassionate to others and giving, okay, too. Moon in Pisces is somebody who, again, very compassionate, very giving, but on a negative note can, you know, want to tune out of life when things get pretty hard. He also has on the 6th house cusp of his work sector Jupiter, and Jupiter can indicate, you know, I want to say, you know, working a lot, traveling, you know, going, you know, out of town. And you look at that Mars, and the ruler to the 6th is in the 9th, which indicates conjunct Uranus. So he could, you know, go here, go there, and, you know. Also, Jupiter in that 6th house, don't forget, he's appealing to the masses. He's kind of, a lot of his movies are in other countries and all over the world, and Jupiter's also ruled by Sagittarius, you know, the natural home for Jupiter, Sagittarius, and this indicates humor, right? Being funny in a direct way, because it's in Aries, right? And another thing that would indicate, you know, let me look at his, where's his Sag really quick. Okay, another thing that would indicate humor, he has an interception in his 2nd house, which means that his 2nd and his 8th house have 2 rulers. So not only is he, you know, he would make money through deep communication for his career, but he would also make money, you know, traveling and through, you know, being funny, okay? Because that there's Sagittarius is an intercepted house in that 2nd house. And then we look at, let me see what else he's got going here. Now, Mercury in itself in Leo would also indicate a very, you know, smart person, but somebody who really wants, it's like, when any planet is in Leo, it's like saying, look at me, look at me, look at me, because Leo's ruled by the sun. So, with Mercury in Leo, this would indicate somebody who really gets noticed for some things that he says, the way he says it, you know. And, you know, we all know he had a really great sense of humor. What else are we looking at here? Now, he's meant to be creative in his life, because his North Node's in his 5th house. He's meant to be creative, and, you know, it's in the house of creativity, and it's a sign of Pisces, and he's also supposed to be compassionate, and Pisces is also the sign of creativity as well. He's getting away from being critical with groups, friends, organizations, and, maybe, in a past life it shows that he could have been too critical, okay? Well, Saturn, wherever you want to look at, what is Saturn warning you about? Saturn is warning him of his being critical. Saturn is in Virgo there, and it's saying, don't be too critical, and he could have been, I think, his worst critic. Now, if you say, well, how is he supposed to, be creative or, possibly be famous? And you say, well, you look at the ascendant, and then you say, well, his ascendant is Scorpio, and the ruler is in that 10th house, so he would be very, and it's conjunct Mercury, so he would be very deep and intense, and what he has to say would be very profound in many ways. It's in that 10th house, and where he really wants to be noticed. And I know part of his life he did do a lot of, like, I know that a long time ago he did a lot of work for HIV and AIDS, some comedy things, and I think that later in his life he did get into politics. As well, like, backing, being public about who he was backing politically. I do know that. So, but that's not what he would be. That's not what he would be creative about. It would be in regards to something that he says. He's got that Mercury there, and it shows. And he's got Venus in Virgo, which Virgo is real. Virgo is the communication sign. So he would be creative about something he says. Now, I would say that he could be very eccentric in his energy, and he was. He was very, his energy was very strong, very, for somebody who has a Mars in Cancer, which can be very subdued, Uranus it's like a bolt of lightning to his energy, and it makes him and he was very jumpy. Oh, this and that, and this and that. So, but in that 9th house, Uranus can make him brilliant. Just school could have been easy for him. I want to say wherever he traveled, he considered home. But I'm also, just a few things that I noticed in his chart in regards to, his chart does show that he's extremely creative. A lot of that creative energy, and he's known for things that he says. Well, he says things in a very witty way. Now, he does have a quintile between Pluto and his ascendant, which a quintile is gifts. Is spiritual gifts. So he found this easy. Those are things that come easy to you, And then I was looking further. And again, I'm doing this in the middle of the night because my little baby is sleeping, and I'm just kind of just doing this quickly here. All right, now I'm looking at the transits of the days of death, okay? And first thing I'm going to go to is the moon. How is he emotionally? Well, transiting moon was conjunct Neptune. Well, that's a recipe for disaster. Now, here's the thing. Moon conjunct Neptune, transit-wise, is very sensitive to chemicals and chemical dependency. So if you have moon conjunct Neptune in your natal chart, this could be, you could have allergic reactions and things like this. And, chemicals are not good for you probably on a day when Moon is conjuncting Neptune, transiting your chart. But if it's natally, you probably always have issues, and you have to be careful of what you take as far as medicines and stuff like this. Okay, so he has this Moon conjunct Neptune hitting his Moon. So this means he's very, very sensitive about something, and it could have to do with his home and family, because it is in the house of home and family. And, I would say this could have to do with his beliefs in his career, too, because the co-ruler to Pisces, transiting Jupiter's in that 9th house of his beliefs, okay, things that in his thinking, okay. So, something he's thinking about home and family, and could have a lot to do with relationships, too, has got him depressed. And I would say, I'll be honest with you, I think that maybe he could have been drinking too much or taking pills or something, because a Moon conjunct Neptune is a recipe for, if you're going to be chemically dependent, it's a chance, there's a higher chance of having an issue with the chemical that you've taken with that transit. Also, Neptune is transiting his moon for the longest time, so he could have had issues with depression for a while now, and Neptune is illusion, delusion. It's where you delude yourself, you know, and it could make him just want to tune out of life, and this is just so hard, and this and that, even though, you know, Neptune can make him super creative, but conjunct the moon, it would make him very sensitive, okay? And then you have the moon transiting at that day, conjuncting Neptune, hitting his natal moon, which is even worse. Okay, and then let's talk again. Now, his ascendant, let's look at his ascendant. He's got Mars there, okay? And he's got Saturn in that first house. Saturn can make you very hard on yourself in the first house, right? And these are all, a lot of these planets are hitting his thinking houses. Like, okay, the ruler, Saturn's in Scorpio, right? The ruler to Scorpio is Pluto. And that is in his third house of communication, his, you know, his thinking too. You know, what is he thinking? So this could really, you know, Pluto can make you kind of go to the depths, go really deep, go thinking too much, and very, you know, and it's retrograde, so you could be really looking deep within, you know. And this could have a lot to do with siblings, if it has to do with people or anything. And third house has to do with communication via travel too. But on a deep level, looking inward, I honestly think that he was really doing a lot of soul searching on a deep level, and which made him really kind of think about what was going on. And do you see that this is you know, right here, a mutual reception between the first and the third, because he's got also Saturn is ruling the third here, and the transiting Saturn, and so, you know, he could be very, he could feel very stuck, very, Saturn can make you kind of look at things in a negative way sometimes, and be hard on yourself. And with Pluto in the third house, his thinking could have been like really, he could have been really looking deep about things, and maybe being, you know, hard on himself in some ways. That with these, you know, Moon and Neptune hitting his natal moon here, that could have been hard. Uranus is transiting his sixth house of work and travel, and, you know, Jupiter is his thinking. Jupiter, natal Jupiter could be your thinking in some way in regards to your career. You know, so there could have been a sensitivity brought up by that as well. Yeah, and I'm just, you know, looking a little bit, okay, the seventh house of relationships, the ruler, transiting ruler, is in that ninth house, and it is hitting Mars. Well, it's really hitting the sun here, and then you also have Jupiter's conjuncting that sun too, on the midheaven. So I want to say, you know, it was his thinking about maybe relationships and his home and his family, you know, could have gotten him, I don't know, a little depressed, I'm thinking. I feel that he could have taken something, that's what I think, because of that moon Neptune conjuncting his natal moon, you know. And I know it's a suicide, so maybe he took something on purpose. I don't know. What else do I see? Okay, he had his sun. Do you see the 10th house here? The sun is hitting Pluto, his Pluto-Mercury. And Mercury, don't forget, is also your thinking, too. So he could have had deep communication or deep thoughts about something with, you know, and remember, the day of his death, this, you know, also activated, you know, everyone is talking about his status, because this is the 10th house of his status. You know, he was found, you know, unresponsive in his home, you know. So, you know, I'm looking at, let me see, what else does he have here? It's just very sad. It's so sad that, you know, you see this person who's so creative, and he was one of my favorite actors, so I wanted to immediately look at his chart. A very eccentric person, according to his natal chart, very different, very, I want to say very sensitive, too. But yet, I will say, you know, his Mars conjunct Uranus, his energy is a bit restless, you know. And this could also be why he was very jumpy in his little shows. Like, he was very quick-witted, very witty person about his comebacks and things that he would say. Just very intelligent. But anyway, this is just a little synopsis of what I found. Again, I didn't do a huge analysis because the baby's sleeping and I only have a little bit of time. I'm going to be putting this in this area right here on the website, and I'm going to link it in this video. And here's his chart. And if you want to view a natal report of his, just click this. I don't know why it's not clicking. Oh, here it is. Yeah, the natal report should pop up. And if you want to view the chart the day of his death, it's here. I don't know why it's so huge. I'm sorry. But I have that. All you do is click it. And these are one of my favorite clips from the movie What Dreams May Come. If you have not seen that movie, you so have to see it. It's a great, very wonderful film. But this guy was ruled by a lot of water, a lot of sensitivity, very... you know, Pisces is the sign that's most connected to the other side. And wherever you have Pisces, a lot of people with strong Pisces in their chart find this world very difficult to deal with, you know. And Scorpio ascendant would make him be, you know, a lot of psychiatrists have Scorpio ascendants. They're really good at reading people, looking through them, which is probably why he was very witty in his responses to others. And the sun is in Cancer, which makes him very nurturing, very compassionate type of person, which is probably why he was also doing a lot of charity work. And with his Mars conjunct Uranus, his energy is a bit unconventional, so maybe he was more liberal in his thinking, and you know. But anyway, I just thought I would do this video, and if you find it interesting, if you find something even more interesting, add it below, and so we can all talk about it. All right, well, I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.